episode of Women In. I can't wait for you to meet my next guest. Let me tell you what you're listening to, and then we'll dive in. Women In is a podcast that celebrates women from all walks of life and the people who uplift them. Each episode features incredible voices from my world, sharing stories that spark inspiration, challenge the status quo, and remind us that empowering women empowers everyone. This is a bold, curious, and uncensored space where disruption is welcome, forward thinking is encouraged, and change is the goal. I'm passionate about breaking down barriers, not just for us, but for the next generation. Whether our paths cross through the Kalamazoo Wings, Mindfulness Elevated, or Tony Will Coaching, or you happen to be in my family and friends circle, these conversations matter. Let's dive in and celebrate the power of connection, growth, and the people who are shaping our world. And one of these people is my guest today, the fabulous Chrissy Janiga. Did I pronounce that right? Your last name?
Janiga, but it's okay.
Okay. I should have asked before I hit record, but hey, we roll how we roll. Chrissy's a social worker, spiritual sobriety coach, author, and the founder of Soulful and Sober. After years of trying to moderate alcohol, Chrissy discovered that true peace, clarity, and purpose began the moment she fully let alcohol go. Her sobriety became a spiritual awakening that led her to reconnect with her intuition, heal old patterns, and uncover her soul-led purpose. She now helps women do the same. Hi, Chrissy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on, as I mentioned at the top of this. So let's start with how you and I met.
So we actually met at Sober in the City in Tampa, which was such an amazing event. I'm so excited I was able to go there.
Yeah, it was really cool. And that was, a year and a half ago at least.
Yeah.
At least, yeah. And we were just laughing off air because we were chatting at dinner, and I was my ankle was broken at the time, and I was in this boot, and I just told her that I'm back in the same boot on the same foot, but for a different reason because I tore the fascia in my heel. And so we were just chuckling about how we came full circle there. But I've been following Chrissy on social media ever since we met, and you're doing phenomenal work in the sober space, and just released a book. So let's start talking about your book, because I obviously I want to support any author, especially in this space. So where was the idea born from? I mean, wherever you want to start, because a book is like our baby. It's a baby, and you birthed it to the world. So tell us, start there. Tell me all the things.
So it's funny because when I stopped drinking, I started thinking more about purpose. Now, I didn't necessarily think about doing a full nonfiction book like this. So it took me a little bit of time to, I think, have my own transformation. But funny story is I started writing a nonfiction book called, what did I call it? Habitual Habits. And I started talking about certain things. And then I'm like, I don't really want to write this. So I actually wrote 2 kids' books, actually, even before this book. So I started, just thinking about this. And in 2023, I was meditating, and I saw myself going on stage and signing books. And I knew that it was not my kids' books. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. And I actually started thinking about soul-led sobriety, which is the title of my book, prior to writing the book. And I'm like, I like it to be a purple book. And so it just kind of formed. And then I ended up leaving my husband in 2024. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to make this thing happen. And so in 2024, I started working with a company to help me be more accountable, to help me with, how to structure this. And so initially it was just going to be like quotes. I make my own quotes up often, and then just a little explanation, but it ended up actually becoming something a little bit bigger. So I go through different parts that I think are really crucial for not only staying sober, but walking into like this soul-aligned life, because we don't just want to like remove alcohol. We want some other things in our lives, and sometimes we can't see that. So that's kind of what I was doing in 2024 and 2025. And it's really cool when you see something like in a meditation, or you embody your future self, and then you're like, whoa, this is cool.
That is, congratulations on making that happen so quickly. I mean, in writing this book, and there's a lot of topics that in that one answer that I'm going to dive into separately. Here's one of the interesting things. You're a coach, I'm a coach, and accountability is a big part of what we do as coaches. But you were like, I have this goal, write this book for nonfiction adult, not children's books, which I remember you sharing that when we met about the children's books, which I thought was really neat. And I saw some stuff online about that too. But knowing that, because I struggle with accountability. Like, I'm so weird about it. Like, the minute I'm like, I feel like someone wants to hold me accountable, I'm a rebel and I freak out. But the thing is, accountability is how we get to our goals. And so how did you decide, like, yeah, I need some accountability. I want some accountability. And where did you seek that out? Did you Google like book author stuff? How did you go about that? I want to hear about that.
So I'll answer actually the last question because then it'll propel me into the other answer. So I've been following some people online that their jobs are to help people bring books to life in the non-traditional published way. You can go obviously multiple ways in publishing your book, but I was like, I don't want this to take 17 years. And then also with traditional publishing, which is great. If that's your goal, it's amazing. But for me, I'm like, no, I want this quicker. And I want the rights to my book, to all my rights. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where I started seeking out different coaches that help with that. And that's like actually their job. They have like a business and that's what they do. And the specific coach I reached out to was all about like leveraging your business too. Like this book obviously isn't just a book, right? It's to help people. It's my brand. It's what I stand for. So that's kind of what I wanted, is to work with somebody to help me with this process. I wanted them to help me design a cover. I wanted help with everything because I knew that it was worth it and I wanted it to happen in a certain time frame. I also know myself. If I just like don't have accountability with this stuff, it's really easy to make excuses for writing. And when you look at writing a book, it seems very overwhelming, and doing anything big will seem like impossible. So if you can break it down into chunks, super manageable. And it's so much easier to think about it like that versus like, I have to write a whole book. You're like, oh, like how? So working with somebody not only made me accountable, but it broke down how to do that. So I went through this huge outline. I spent a lot of time even in an outline, putting my references down. What did I want to talk about? Because you're not going to be motivated every day of the week, right? So like it was helpful because I'm like, when I would sit down, I wouldn't be a blank slate. Or if you had an emotional morning or you had something happen to you, it's super easy to be like, well, I don't feel like writing. Well, I have to meet with my book coach on Friday, so I don't have I don't have a choice. Like I need to do something. And so I think also the other thing is like looking at my calendar and writing in like, when would I do it? Like when would I do it? Unless there was like something crazy that came up, but when would I actually sit down and write, and looking at my schedule and almost planning it like you would plan anything, like you're going to something, you're going to meet up with somebody. And so it's also like sacrificing weekends sometimes, not the whole weekend, but like sacrificing something for this bigger goal, and realizing what your why is as well, because it's easy if you don't have a strong why. And again, when I was talking to the book people, they're like, yeah, some people sign up for this and they don't even commit. I'm like, how would you spend money and not do this? It was like wild to me. And so I think that's where you need to have a strong why. Why are you doing this? What is the end result? What do you want from this?
It's interesting as you share this, and I know you'll draw the same parallels I am, but if someone's listening to this who's considering quitting drinking or considering writing a book, the parallels between these two are so, coaches need coaches, and how we quit drinking, and having that accountability, and putting the money into ourselves, because in order to get to said goal, whether it's quitting drinking, writing a book, whatever, insert here, I did Ironman races back in my 30s. I invested a lot of money into the coaching side of it. And I can't imagine leaving anything on the table in terms of, if I'm spending money on this, I'm going to finish it. And that's that accountability. So it's kind of ironic as I'm saying this out loud that I say I shirk accountability, but really I don't if I want it bad enough. And you do too, clearly. So this is, it's the parallels on this, because it's hard. There were days when, and I'm going to bounce back and forth between writing a book and quitting drinking, but there were days when we first stopped drinking. It's hard. And if we have a group that we're in, or if we hire a coach, or whatever, it's like, oh, I've got this on the calendar. It helps keep me moving towards said goal when the days where I don't feel motivated. So that beautiful part of your, okay, so I'm writing a book right now too. It's almost, manuscript's gonna be done next month. How long was, thank you, yeah, I'm excited. It's nerve wracking
Yay.
too, but
Oh, it
how long
is.
how long did it take you from when you said, I want to do this to when your book came out? Because your book came out in the last month or so?
Yeah, it came out at the beginning of August.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was done before August because you have to do editing and layouts and blah 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 blah. Don't want to bore people with all the middle stuff, but so for me, I started it in November of 2024, and then I did take a month. Well, not a total month off, but like I took time off in the from like meeting with my coach for a month, but I still wrote during that time. So I finished it, oh gosh, in June. So yeah, so I mean, it took me maybe longer than somebody else. I'm not sure, but
Oh,
like
6 months is what I'm hearing. Basically, 6 months to get the manuscript done, and then 8 weeks between the manuscript being done, going through edit, layout, approvals. That's really, my book is going to take, God, like you said, it's, I think it, by time all said and done, 18 months. And so, yeah. And now I talk about this publicly, like all my, I share pretty much everything about my life, but I hired a ghostwriter because I had the outline done, but I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do this at the level at which I want because I have too high expectations on myself. So I hired a ghostwriter, and it's been, I've learned a lot about writing a book and all the, like you're talking about, the behind the scenes stuff, because there's lots of choices, but there's lots of expenses that come with this.
mhm.
And I want to point something out. I don't know if you feel differently than I do, but I'm not writing this book. I'm not sitting here going, I'm going to be a New York Times bestseller. I'm, the next, I'm not writing Harry Potter over here. Okay. Like, I'm writing a book that I love. And I want people that can resonate with my story to love it too. So maybe you feel differently, but that's kind of how I'm approaching it. So how have you been approaching that expectations for yourself on the book?
So for me, I think it's so important to give people hope. So that's one of the things is like, and also I spin everything. I spin everything into a lesson, into something way deeper than just surface level stuff. So like when we stop drinking, yes, there's pain. There's pain. All of us want to quit drinking for a reason, not because it feels really wonderful to wake up hungover or to do whatever we did when we were drinking. It's a cycle. However, I believe that we have this whole path that we're supposed to take, and it's our transformation that gives us purpose and meaning. And so, if we think about something long enough, we should probably do something about it or get curious. And this is the whole thing, is it's just not about drinking. It's about who we become and the person we embody, and it's a rippling effect. Sobriety is one of the most beautiful things, and it changes everybody's lives. And I've experienced it not only with myself, but other people it's been really hard too. Like when you see people suffering, right? So like I've seen it on so many different levels, but I know what's possible of people. And so that was really what I had in mind, is like the person was me, but the people I work with, they want these soul-led lives. They might feel stuck. They might feel out of alignment. And they're kind of like in this limbo of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So it's just explaining things in a deeper level. So that was really helpful for me. And it was very therapeutic writing it. But also too, I want to go big. Like this is my big goal, is to public speak and to get communities. And I think a book can really help with those things, right? Like it does, and I want people to see going alcohol free not as like a problem, but as like the solution to so many things.
Yeah, so you and I have very similar goals, or actually, yeah, they're very similar. I have the same goals, and I view being alcohol free, to your point, as a privilege, not a punishment. And the other thing I say, like, I love meeting people, men and women, that have the same goals in this space, because this is where I really get to adopt and implement that abundance mindset that I've learned through this journey. of choosing to live alcohol free. There's enough space in this world for all of us who want to do this work, write books, speak on stages, have podcasts, whatever. And there's only one Chrissy, there's only one Tony, and there's room for all of us because there's a hell of a lot more drinkers out there than there are non-drinkers. So that's why a part of the reason why I started this podcast is to lift other women up. And because sometimes women, there's depending on I think it's generational, but women can be pretty hard on each other and judgmental. And I was like, no, that's not how I roll. I'm lifting people up, and I want other women to be as successful as they want to be. So kudos to you.
Yes, I love that.
And I loved, because I was going to ask you because you had said soul aligned life and what that meant, but you already just explained it. So I just want to point that out. When you started with, I'm able to turn what's going on in my life and spin it into a lesson and go deeper on it. If that's how I heard what a soul aligned life meant to you. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. I also think when we stop drinking, so many of us have carried things throughout our lifetime, right? A lot of things originate in our childhood. So we're not maybe doing the things we want. We don't know what we want, or we're doing things at such a safe level because we think that's what we're supposed to do. We're not living a life that's actually by our design. So when people stop drinking, it's understanding that like some of the things that we're working through is helping us find that purpose, whatever that might be for somebody, but more living a life that is, like what you said, is abundant, in alignment with what feels really good. And a lot of us are, not a lot of us, but many people aren't used to knowing what feels good. They're so used to chaos and like, this is just the way it has to be. Says who? And I think that's where the permission comes from a coach or, from somebody else saying, you can have what you want. You can dream big. Doesn't mean that it's always going to be easy though. And I think that's where people get tripped up, is like, why does this not feel good right now? And realizing, because this is what you're supposed to work through. So it can feel good. You can work through these things, but without awareness, it's hard to find some of this stuff. So that's why I think we do what we do, right? Is because we want to help people figure out what they want to do and work through the things that are difficult to get them there.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. You had said earlier, and we talked a little bit about this before we hit record too, about divorce. I have been very public on any stage. I talk about how I'm on my third time's a charm marriage. And so I've been through divorce twice, once in my 20s and once in my 30s. And so I'm not doing it anymore. But I understand the pain of choosing to leave a marriage and just that giant transition, and especially when there's children involved. And so how much of that has played a role in where you're at? And I guess where I'm getting at is being alcohol free and sober and going through the divorce, because that's next level. Both of my divorces, I was alcohol fueled. So share with me about all of that and how you've navigated through those difficult times.
Oh, it was hard. I always tell people, just because someone chooses to leave their partner doesn't mean it was easy. It was one of the hardest things ever, to do this. But it was something that I look back and I'm so proud that I had the strength to do it. And I was sober. I did not expect these things to happen when I stopped drinking. But I think what happens when we stop drinking, we have things come into our lives, different experiences that help us. So for me, in the beginning, I was very dysregulated, meaning I would be worried about a lot of stuff. I was like, when I said people get used to chaos, like sometimes we really get used to like this, living in that fight, flight, freeze, fawn. So always on edge. And so I've learned so much about myself and what I can control and what I can't control, and how to navigate certain experiences differently, which has been really crucial for me. The writing the book and the sobriety, all this gave me something else in my life that was really, really gratifying. One of the biggest things for me when I stopped drinking is realizing I looked forward to drinking, especially on the weekends, because my life wasn't as fulfilling as I thought. Doesn't mean I was unhappy, doesn't mean I was miserable, but there's a lot of things that were buried and hidden. So I've had to navigate all that. The other thing that I really do want to point out is I never thought about going back to drinking. I really fundamentally believe if I start drinking again, I will never have the things I want in my life. I believe that at my core. But what I did do is go to more of an emotional eating place.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've been able to like really learn about that. And I actually am going to get certified in that, like helping people with binge eating, nervous system regulation, and hypnotherapy, because I'm like, this is so important. And so I share that because even though I'm in a world of a different place today mentally, and I'm really happy with my decision and who I've become. But that doesn't mean that I still don't have hardships and things that I'm like, wow, okay, I still had to work through this. Because what happened was I didn't go to drinking, but emotional eating has always been a thing for me. It's been kind of up and down. And so this year I've really tackled it, meaning I stopped dieting and I'm actually got help for more of this nervous system stuff versus chasing the next diet and the next dopamine hit. So I know that kind of like veered off a little bit, but it all happened after I left my ex-husband, is that I was like, I need to work on all these things that I've been putting off. And also, again, I had this space that I love so much, my podcast, the book I'm writing, the movement I'm having. So I think in the darkest days, that also gave me a lot of hope and that gave me a lot of momentum that I still want to do this work. It was just reaffirming that I'm in the right place.
Yeah, it's just crazy how much we have in common, and I haven't even gotten to the part about you being from Michigan and all that. But you live in Miami now, but in Miami, right? It's Florida.
No, it's just about Tampa.
Oh, by Tampa,
Yeah.
yeah. So I knew you were in Florida. I couldn't remember if it was Miami or Tampa. But yeah, so okay, this emotional eating is interesting because it all connects, and this is what's interesting about typically what I see, and it's not for everyone, but at least in my story and similar to you, like alcohol and food are tied pretty closely, and the reason they are is because they're both caloric. And so when you think about that, it's just they're both calories. So and we've created meaning out of why we drink, and then when you take that out, what we tend to see is we start to create similar meanings that were probably already there before, but with food. And so I've been on the same journey this year where I'm like, I'm not doing, I stopped weighing myself about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's a slippery slope. I become very obsessive about it. And I've learned I cannot food journal because again, I just start to, when I'm starting to count fucking pretzels or I'm weighing my food, to me, it creates these limitations on my life where I'm not then living a fulfilled life. So I've learned I can't do that. And a book that helped me was Brain Over Binge by Katherine Hansen. Have you read this book?
No.
Oh, phenomenal. So I'm right there with you, and different situation. Divorce causes grief, but my mom died in February, and so yeah, I mean it was Alzheimer's, a long time coming, but nonetheless still very challenging. But boy, oh boy, Chrissy, did I go right to my comfort foods.
Yep.
It was my Cool Ranch Doritos, my Skittles, Diet Mountain Dew, all this shit that I'm just,
Oh,
but
yeah.
hey, I'm working out. So, and, it's just not, and when I step back, I'm like, what am I making this food mean? What if it meant it was just fuel? And thinking about it that way, and then I thought about alcohol. I'm coming up on 5 years in a month or so here. And so alcohol means nothing to me now, like literally nothing. Nicotine means nothing to me. Like there's so much that means nothing. Why am I making Cool Ranch Doritos mean something? And so starting to think about it in that way has been really helpful as I navigate yet another foot injury and I'm limited. And I totally get what you're saying. And the nervous system plays a giant role in this because when now you got me going. When I, that's
Oh,
why
I
I
can
love
talk about this for hours, let me tell you.
But when my mom was dying and I was in and out of the nursing home and all this, I was dysregulated. I wasn't sleeping well. I mean, there's so many signals. My lid was flipped, like my prefrontal cortex is all the fuck offline. So I'm excited for you as you get this additional certification and start to help people around this space too, because it's all connected.
It absolutely is. And I think when you look at alcohol culture and diet culture, obviously food, we need food, right? Like we don't need alcohol. It's not even a macronutrient. We need food. But the thing is a lot of people sometimes still go to these dopamine hits, whether it's overspending, it's eating, and a lot of people go to sugar when they stop drinking. And I'm not trying to like tell someone you can't do that, but I think it's understanding why we're doing what we're doing. Because for me, I was like, do I even want to eat this? It's like, why am I eating it? And it's like, okay, do I really want it? If I really want it, cool, have it. But if I'm eating it to, help with boredom, anxiety. For me, it was like a lot of worry and anxiety. That was like the hugest thing for me because I was also dysregulated because I didn't know how to handle things, which is why I talk about the nervous system in my book.
Yeah.
So that, so I think it's important to, I think, address because when we stopped drinking, this was something that didn't start when I was drinking. Yes, it's gone up and down, but it started when I was a kid. It was something I used as a coping mechanism as a child. So when I stopped drinking, I was like, whoa, all these things started coming to me where I'm like, man, I gotta like work on this stuff. And it can feel really daunting to people because, it's just a lot. So like, I also think understanding that we get through one thing like by little bits at a time to make really big momentum. You don't have to heal everything, right? Because I think if you think about that, it's just, again, it's just like writing a book. If I think about the whole book, I'm like, oh boy, I'm overwhelmed. If I think about how unhealed I am, that's that's so much.
It is. It's like saying I'm going to quit drinking forever. I
Yes.
don't say that. I just say I'm a non-drinker. Because forever that rebel kicks into me, and it just and I said that before when I quit drinking in 2016 after my arrest, and I went to AA and I went to IOP and I stayed sober for 15 months. And I have nothing against AA. I actually think I don't like the framework, but I love the community part of it. But it felt like just too high of an expectation and it felt suffocating. So immediately I wanted to break free of that and, two middle fingers out the door and I'm going to set myself on fire and drink for 3 more years. And, you know,
Well,
but so yeah, yeah, it's understanding that we all are working on stuff or we want to, and there's no right or wrong way. There's no right timeline, and the language we use on ourselves and our self-talk is really powerful because we tell ourselves these bullshit stories all the time, and thoughts are just thoughts. We give them meaning. They don't have to mean all this
mm-hmm,
stuff. So I can't wait to read your book because I we are both deep thinkers,
mm-hmm.
and we've connected a lot of dots in this space, and we've been through shit, and that's how we come to this. I wrote fulfillment down because this has been a big topic in my coaching too about fulfillment. So do you feel more fulfilled now in what you've accomplished in your life?
Yes. If you would have told me many years ago when I was drinking red wine and had the mommy wine culture shirts that talk about wine and weights or whatever, I would have like laughed at you. Like my identity was so around all this, yet I thought about not drinking. But now I've written multiple books and I never thought about that. I never thought I'd be an author. I have a podcast. I'm doing things that are sometimes terrifying. And I've had to really work on what does fulfillment mean because oftentimes we want to be farther than we are. We think we need to be more successful than we are. And it's sometimes we're just in the right place. So I've had to remind myself multiple times of those things as well because I want everything now too, just like a lot of people do. Like some people, I want to be sober now. I want this now. But I truthfully believe that we have life lessons in this realm, and those are going to help shape us. Even if we're not where we want to be at this particular time, maybe there's a reason. So I think I'm much more fulfilled in my growth component. And it's something I do talk about. What Tony Robbins talks about, the different humans' needs. And one of them is growth as well as contribution. So giving back and growing as a human makes it way less appealing to drink when you are doing the things that make you feel so good that you would never do if you were drinking.
Exactly. I use the term servant leadership a lot, and I do a lot of that. It's important to me to give back. Not everything I do is for the almighty dollar, and quite frankly, my I'm much driven over mission than I am money. And I believe if we're doing what we love, the money will follow as it's supposed to. And so I do enjoy giving back and in my own time and providing my own wisdom. Now, that being said, y'all, my coaching services aren't free, and neither are Chrissy's. So I just like, there's a component, it's like a pie, it's a piece of the pie. Okay, so your book cover, we were talking about this. Purple is my favorite color. So why did you choose purple? Is it your favorite color?
Yes, but I love amethyst just like you do. And so
Yes.
when I envisioned this book, it was going to be purple. I didn't know it was going to look quite like it did now, and I love it. But yeah, I love the way that the amethyst looks. I like the meaning of it. I also like intuition, and that's like big in my world and what I teach.
Yeah, I just it immediately drew my eye. I'm like, so, and I have an amethyst on my desk. I actually have several gemstones or stones, not gemstones. I'm not like a jeweler over here with gemstones, but stones and things for, healing and all the things that it brings. So, okay, let's talk about being from Michigan. So you grew up in Livonia, Michigan. You too went to Western Michigan University, like I did, and we may have been there. I think I'm a little older than you, but so what year did you grad? You grad your undergrad at Western,
I
correct?
did my undergrad, so I left Western in 2006 to go to Ann Arbor. So
For your
yeah,
master's. Yeah,
yep.
so I graduated from Western in '01. So
Okay.
I have my undergrad. I don't have my graduate, but yeah. So I graduated probably as you were coming in, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool that you're a fellow Bronco like I am, and we have that in common too. So just amongst other things. And you also, something else we have in common is this work we're doing, the coaching, being an author, wanting to speak, and all these things is your side passion project. And you have a full-time career in social work.
Yes.
So, and I'm right there with you. My day job's in hockey, and all this other stuff I do is my all for passion, and one day, doing it full time on some level. But so we straddle two worlds. So I get this question a lot. So I'll ask you, well, how do you do it? And does it ever? Are you tired?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes it's my own creation of it, right? So it's how we think about it, time management, and I'm not perfect. I can tell you that right now. But I actually have like this planner where I have like it writes all the days of the week, like the things I actually have to get done because if I don't, I can get overwhelmed. So for me too, it's like expectations. So like I cannot expect to do that of a coach that doesn't work full time with a child. We rotate schedules. I have my son sometimes, and I'm not going to sit here on my computer for 4 hours when I have my son. That's absolutely ridiculous, right? I need boundaries. But it can be hard sometimes because they blur and I like this stuff so much. And so it's just really being dedicated to seeing your bigger mission too. So sometimes, yes, I would love to do this in some capacity full time, but I don't have enough information to say how I'm going to do it. I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I've actually thought about even opening a physical brick and mortar and like doing online and in person modalities because I want to branch out. And I am a licensed clinical social worker, so I could do things under insurance. There's like lots of possibilities, but I don't think I'm ready for that yet. So for me, it's just really time management. Also, I need sleep. I am not someone that can stay up all night and function well. I won't. And my mental health will plummet. And also, as a side note, I have 2 cats, and they like to disrupt me in the morning. So it's really hard to sleep. It's so hard.
Another thing we have in common. I too have two
Yeah.
cats.
Well, they're under a year, and like they're like they come in and they want to be pet, and they're like I'm up on my grill, and I'm like, all right, y'all are cute. I've had to kick them out a couple times.
Yep.
So I also don't like just the way my body is. I don't have a hard time sleeping in for hours, so I would prefer to go to bed early. So for me, it's time management. Also, getting a coach. I am someone that can logic my way out of everything. So like, even though I love intuition, sometimes my logic brain's like, but you can't do that. That's too hard. And I'm like, oh, you're right. And then I'm like, but if I stay at what I'm doing forever, I wouldn't be miserable, but it's not my calling for the
Right.
rest of my life. And that's the bottom line. It's just not my calling. I just don't have enough pieces filled yet. And this is something I've had to really learn is patience trusting in like they say divine timing, which I think can be tricky because it's like making sure you're still taking action, but also realizing that it might not go exactly the way you want it to go, and that's okay. There's things out of my control, which has also been another thing to learn as well. So yeah, so for me, it's really time management. Also, I put my phone, I've done this now a whole week and I've been successful. I put my phone across the room. And so when I go to bed, I don't have my phone next to me. So when I hear my alarm, I have to get my ass out of bed. Mm-hmm. I can't, scroll or do anything that's mindless, because it's easy to like waste hours or half an hour and you're like mad at yourself and you're behind. And then it's also like just not also healthy. It's just another dopamine hit. I like social media. I do, but I think you have to be very careful, and I definitely do, because it's easy to go down a rabbit hole and then waste a bunch of time. And then the last thing is this moving my business, or is this just doing things to do things and checking boxes? I actually hired a virtual assistant this year to help me with things because, frankly, I don't have the bandwidth to do everything. I get very tired from doing too much. So I needed somebody to help me with the things that I don't love, or the things that I'm like, here, you help me with the technology stuff that I don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I too, sleep is critical. And if I can tell when, as we get towards the end of the day, where I need to have boundaries around what decisions I'm making, not putting pressure on myself to do certain things. And if I want to get something done, I just jot it down, because I have this, because you're a morning person like me, or you prefer, you make yourself out of bed, but,
yes.
But I'm way more productive. Like I know my window, and it's usually 8 a.m. to like 2 p.m. and I'm firing. So whatever it is I want to get done, it's in that window. And if it comes outside of that, then I just am very careful about what I say yes or what I put on for the next day. And it could be something simple like I made my almost 19-year-old daughter, she's the only one living at home now. And there might be something I need to talk to her about. Like her room's always a fucking mess. Anyways, it's just like I need to have a conversation with her about this, but I know it's not a good idea in that window.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be irritable, less patient. I'm going to want to have a quick conversation. She might want to emote about why her life is so challenging at 18, and I'm going to want to roll my eyes because I'm like, girl, you don't even know. And I love her to death, but it's like, Tony, this isn't the time for you to have that conversation. So move it into a better pocket of time so it's more productive, more healthy.
Yep.
And now we're avoiding conflict. Like these dominoes start to fall, and it's because we know what's working and what's not working for us. The other thing I loved what you said is about being a calling. 100%. Like when you know there's a calling, it doesn't feel like work. So you have to be really tricky, you have to be really smart to like say, all right, what am I in motion or I'm in action? Because motion is just doing a bunch of little ticky tacky stuff. Action is actually like generating revenue and all this other thing. So I hear you. It's sometimes for me, it's fun to do both. Like when I'm kind of like, I need a break from the entrepreneur part of my life, I can swing back over to the hockey side of my life. So what type of social work do you do?
I've done everything. So actually, funny story. I used to work in substance use when I was drinking. And I work. So I work at the VA. So I work with veterans. So that also in that substance use population it's a very difficult population. Meaning there's like lots of suicide. There's lots of PTSD, many comorbidities. Because obviously drinking is just like the coping strategy for all the things. I've done hospice, radiation oncology. Currently, I work with primary care, and so we do quite a bit of things like home care, advanced directives. We do like everything.
I could see you being hospice. I mean, we were working with hospice as my mom was dying. You have that vibe. I am not. I would be terrible. I'd be too direct and be like, "Yep, they're dying."
Well, yeah, I know, yeah. Well, it's crazy though. I've seen the craziest stuff too, like people that couldn't like pass over because they had stuff on their minds. They had to talk to a chaplain. People that would see dead people that have already died. Like I've seen the craziest stuff. And then you work with these spouses, and you work with these families, and you get to be there for them at one of the most difficult times of their lives. So I definitely don't think it's meant for everybody. That is for
It's not.
sure. It's emotional, but I feel like for some reason I can like some things I would it would be emotional, like it would make me sad and it's not but I wouldn't take it home for 5 weeks, right? Like I could leave things and kind of go back and forth. And it doesn't mean it doesn't get hard when people are struggling. Because I don't know about you, but I've also like I've worked in therapy and certain populations I cannot work with because I can emotionally feel everything. It's just some people are I don't want to say this in a mean way. Some people like even in my personal life, the like some of the I don't want to say toxic, but like certain things I can feel a lot and it's like really hard for me because it's like I have to learn how to like separate their emotions and my emotions. What's theirs and what's mine.
Yes. And it sometimes is certain clients, it kind of sneaks up on me once in a while where I'm like, oh, because normally I'm pretty good at that, what you're describing, kind of not a wall, but I can compartmentalize. Like I'm not attaching myself to their outcome.
Correct.
But there are times where I'm like, ooh, and I catch it and I'm like, okay, I got to do a little bit additional work on this to make sure I don't get too emotionally involved, in a healthy way. So, and it can be draining. That's why I like swinging back over to hockey at times because it's opposite. It's like,
Yeah. No, and I think too, like in my profession, like in my corporate position, like it's very different than a coaching role, right? Like where I didn't have a say with the people that I'd work with, and it would be all different populations, all different things. So your boundaries are always tested on what comes into the office. And they're tested now too, but like there's a little bit of a difference with coaching where I'm like, do I want to work with them? Are we aligned? Like I also can tell if somebody isn't a good fit because I've also worked, you know, I've worked in therapy, worked in substance use. So like I know if somebody, let's say they're severe alcohol use disorder, like I'm not taking your money to work with you unless you get like medical help and make sure you're like getting off alcohol properly because I don't need you to seizure. I also need people to be ready, but again, it's a hard thing to say in the alcohol free space because sometimes we are ready but we're not ready. I think for me it's severity of somebody. Like I want somebody to safely do things. I want them to like be empowered, but I also know my limitations and I also want safety and that's important as well.
100%. I got one more question that I'm going to ask you this next. I got two in mind. How was it for you to be so public about your relationship with alcohol and being sober and balancing that with your day job? Were you worried? Were you like, I'm putting this book out? And I haven't read the book yet, so I don't know if you put some things in there that would be considered, I don't know, not salacious, but like you're telling your story and some of this you're not proud of. I mean, I'm opening my book with my arrest in 2016. I'm like, ooh, this should be interesting. So how did you tell me about that? And was it hard for you or is it natural for you to be like, nah, I'm going to live my life out loud?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, there was some cringing moments where I'm like, oh boy, like, people are going to read this. But then I'm like, you know what, though? I think we give people permission to speak their truth when we speak our truth. So part of me is like, meh. And then I always think of like, if I died tomorrow, would I be happy that I shared this or would I be upset? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
do we really care at the end of the day? I think what people think about us or do we have a mission? So sometimes I go back and forth and it's been a gradual experience. I mean, I have social media where I tell people things. So I'm like, I guess I'm just an open book. But at the end of the day, I even think about my son. I don't talk about a lot of this in depth yet with him. And I will be very particular how I talk about it because I will never shame people for drinking. This is never about shaming people, judging people. I actually think a lot of times it's not anyone's fault. We live in alcohol culture. We're all brought up in somewhat of a similar fashion. So for me, it's like explaining my side of the story and why I changed and giving people some hope. But for the work purposes, my work is so vast. There's so many people. Not everybody even knows I wrote a book, right? Like they have
Well,
no clue. I don't tell everybody. My two coworkers know, and I don't think they'll ever read it, which I'm okay with too. This book isn't. I'm not. If people don't read my book, I'm not like, oh my gosh, you don't like me. It's niche specific. It's not for every person.
well, that's what I remind myself. I'm like, Tony, but how many people actually read books? And not everyone's clamoring to read your book. Like I'm
No,
feeling myself like you're not that big of a deal, Tony. Will chill out.
it's not even that. Like it's people. I think we sometimes assume the worst in people, and then people have their own lives, their own issues. It's never about us half the time. We just assume it is. But at the end of the day, um, I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for the people I work with. And I don't know how my journey is going to go out, but my full-time job helps me pay for things, right? Like it does what it serves
It
its
sure does.
purpose. And, you know, not everybody's going to follow me on social media. I had my one of my old coworkers when I used to work in Ann Arbor follow me and then realize that this is it's a business sobriety page, right? Like it's not. I have a personal page where I don't sit here and post all this stuff, right? I do post some things on my Facebook page, like my book or a little bit of my journey, but not personal stuff like I do on my sobriety page. So some people have unfollowed me and I just laughed. I'm like, oh, they have no clue what they got themselves into because
Yeah.
that's not what they're interested in. But you never know. I've had people reach out to me. I've had people want to be on my launch team because they are questioning their relationship with alcohol. So like I have to always get out of my ego head where this is all about me. I'm like, I'm making this a big deal, but I'm like, yeah, but like somebody else might be like, oh my gosh, she gets me. It gives me permission to speak my truth or to start getting curious. And in my sobriety group, one of the girls said, two people have said that they've inspired her to stop drinking. Her inspiration have inspired them. So we don't ever know the ripple effects of our own things that we do, but sometimes we get logical, we get in our heads. Um, I do one day think it's going to be a little cringy when my son starts like getting older and looking at things. So like I'm like so sometimes I do cringe and then I'm like, you know what though, I can explain my story and what I'm talking about isn't like terrible. It's a lot of people experience trauma and grief and sadness and hardships. Like it's just some of us talk out loud about it.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so we could keep talking all day, but I do want to ask this, and then we'll start to. I want to my listeners to be able to know where they can buy your book and find you and follow you on social media and all those things. But I want to know who are the women in your life who have shaped you to be the Chrissy you are sitting in front of me today.
Oh man. So my mom also passed away, but she passed away in 2006, many, many years ago. She absolutely shaped me, but not just from the good person she was. She like loved my brother and I so much, like that we were her whole world.
Mm.
But there was a sadness as well, and I know I don't want to speak like ill of things, but I think it's true. I think there's a lot of things in her life she didn't do for lots of different reasons. And I think it reminds me that like I have the ability to have this beautiful life and hers was cut short, but mine can be different and she'd be so proud of me. So like that gives me a lot of hope. And then I have a lot of great girlfriends and some of them still drink and they've changed their relationship with alcohol as we're all in our 40s and 50s. So like we're all a little bit older too. So we have different priorities, but I love them and our friendships are based on true love, lifting each other up, like wanting the best for all and every one of my friends. Like we're, I think, a good girl gang, and we've all kind of like moved and parted ways, but we still have a message called Squad, the Squad on our text messaging. So we all give each other birthday gifts. We connect with each other. Like even though they're not sober, they're still like uplifting to me and like saying how proud they are. So that's to me those moments have shaped my life. And then even now with the women I'm working with, I see so much potential in people. Like they can't see it sometimes, but I can see it and they have shaped me just to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful tribe of women, and it's just so important to have those people in our lives, and men too. But I like to ask about the women who have helped shape us, and because my podcast was born out of speaking on a panel for a women's empowerment panel at Western Michigan University, and
Oh,
one of the
that's so
questions
cool.
was, "Who were the women who helped get you here?" And I sat there, and they sent them beforehand. Usually, I don't prep because I just like to answer authentically, and I don't need a lot of prep. But I looked at that question, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I don't have any." So I've got some work I want to do because they're all men that were part of my story. And so I'm like, I want to be this for other women.
Yeah, I
And
love
so
that.
that's where Women In was born from. So, Chrissy, where can people buy your book? Where can they find you? Social media, website, all the things.
So I am at, it's my name because I was like, I don't know if I think I just want to go with my name because I'm going to be an author one day.
Same.
So mine's just www.chrissyjaniga.com. That's at Chrissy Janiga on all social media platforms where I do my business. My book, Soul-Led Sobriety, is on Amazon. You can get the Kindle or you can get the hard copy. And I love connecting with people. So, however I can serve people and help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your story and being part of my world. I love the work you're doing, as I said. And I when her book came out, I was like, I sent her a DM and said, I'd love to have you on the podcast. So here we are. Made it happen. So thank you.
So thank you for having me and being a part of your world.
Of course. If you all are looking to connect with me, I too am not hard to find. The hockey side of my life is at kwings.com. Everything related to the coaching, the book, the TEDx, the podcast, all at tonywill.com. And social media, I only do 3 because that's all I can handle right now. Facebook and LinkedIn at Tony Lentini Will, and Instagram at I'm Tony Will. And until next time.